Hi, I am Sarah. I've always been the quiet one in my family, the one who listens more than she speaks, the one who keeps secrets, the one who smooths over arguments so no one else has to. People often tell me I'm too sensitive, too emotional, too soft. And maybe they're right, but softness isn't weakness. At least I like to believe it isn't. I work in a small marketing firm where my life is orderly, predictable. I like predictability. My apartment is neat, my routines precise, and my evenings are spent reading or journaling. But when it comes to love, my life has never been predictable. Love arrived in the form of Liam, a whirlwind I didn't see coming. He was the kind of man who notices the little things, the way I stir my coffee, the way I tuck my hair behind my ear when I'm nervous, the way I pause mid-sentence to find the right word. And somehow, he loved every little detail. I met Liam at a friend's birthday party. I had arrived late, stressed from work, trying to hide a week's worth of exhaustion. He was leaning against the wall, a warm smile that didn't feel rehearsed. He asked me one question, simple, innocent, but it shook me. Do you ever stop to just breathe? Something in the way he said it made me pause, and I realized that in years, no one had asked me that question. Not really. Not someone who wanted an answer. From that night, we talked for hours. Our conversations never felt like small talk. They felt like discoveries. I learned things about him, about his childhood, his dreams, his fears. And somehow, he learned me too. And before I knew it, months had passed, and I couldn't imagine my life without him. My family is complicated. My father is quiet, but affectionate. He shows love in gestures rather than words. My mother is controlling, with high expectations that often feel suffocating. My younger sister, Lily, floats through life with a kind of reckless charm. She's beautiful, smart, and somehow always manages to get away with anything. I've always felt like the shadow, the one who works hard, the one who quietly endures. It's not that they don't love me. They do, in their own ways. But love isn't always enough when it's tangled with judgment. From childhood, I learned that survival in my family meant keeping my head down, smiling, and absorbing criticism without complaint. I believed that if I was quiet enough, careful enough, maybe I could belong without friction. Liam's mother, Evelyn, is formidable. There's no other word for her. Tall, elegant, and sharp-eyed, she carries an air of perfection that's both intimidating and suffocating. I met her shortly after Liam and I started dating. My heart was hopeful. I wanted to impress her, to show her that I loved her son and could make him happy. But from the first dinner, I sensed it. Subtle remarks, comments that hinted I wasn't enough. She never said it outright, but the glances, the sighs, the tiny pauses before responding, all of it made me feel like an intruder in her life. I tried to please her. I smiled, nodded, complimented, but nothing seemed to quiet the undercurrent of judgment. Every time Liam mentioned her in a conversation afterward, I could hear the faint edge of doubt in his voice. And that doubt grew, quietly, in both of us, until it became a shadow over our relationship. Despite the tension, Liam and I were happy. Our love wasn't perfect, but it was real. We laughed together, cried together, built dreams together. We talked about marriage, about the kind of life we wanted to create, and then I found out I was pregnant. Joy should have been uncomplicated, but as soon as I told Liam's mother, I felt the first ripple of the storm to come. She congratulated me, yes, but there was a pause, a subtle tightening of her lips that whispered, "We'll see how long this lasts." It was a small moment, barely noticeable to anyone else, but I noticed. And that's how I learned that sometimes the people closest to you can carry storms in their hearts, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash them. The day I found out I was pregnant, I remember feeling a cocktail of emotions: shock, joy, fear, excitement. I was sitting on the bathroom floor, the test clutched in my shaking hands. Liam was at work, and I wanted to scream, to jump, to tell the whole world. But I didn't. Instead, I called him. The sound of his voice, calm and steady, made me weep in relief. "We're going to be okay," he said, and I believed him. For a few weeks, it felt like a bubble of happiness. I imagined little baby clothes, a nursery painted in soft pastels, the sound of tiny feet running through our apartment. I imagined Liam holding me, holding the baby, us building a little world together. But happiness, I would soon learn, is always complicated when others carry expectations. When I told Evelyn, Liam's mother, I expected a warm smile, maybe tears of joy. Instead, she said, "Well, I hope you're ready. Babies change everything." A simple sentence, but the weight behind it was palpable. She didn't say, "Congratulations," or "I'm happy for you." She said, "I hope you're ready," like a warning. And then the comparisons began, my pregnancy framed against her own, subtle suggestions that I wasn't doing things the right way. When I mentioned craving chocolate, she tutted. When I described the nursery colors, she suggested something more classic. Every visit became a tightrope walk, every conversation a test of my composure. And yet, I kept smiling, trying to prove myself, trying to show that I could be the daughter-in-law she wanted. But deep down, I knew nothing I did would be enough. I began to feel it, the creeping anxiety that whispers every night when the house is quiet. What if she doesn't accept me? What if she undermines Liam? What if this joy I feel now is only temporary? I confided in my own mother. She too offered advice, wrapped in judgment. "You have to bend a little. That's just how families work." I wanted to scream. "I'm bending so far I can barely stand, and it's still not enough." Even Liam began to notice my quiet unease. He would touch my shoulder, whisper, "It'll be okay." But I could see the conflict in his eyes. He loved me, yes, but he also loved his mother. And navigating that love triangle was more exhausting than any work project, any meeting, any responsibility I had ever carried. Not every day was tension. Sometimes Liam and I would sit on the couch, talking about baby names, imagining our future. I clutched his hand, laughed, let my hair fall in messy waves, and felt like life could be beautiful. But even in these moments, I noticed the small battles. Evelyn offering helpful suggestions that felt like subtle critiques. Family friends commenting on how quickly I was gaining weight or hinting that I wasn't practical enough for motherhood. I began keeping a journal, not just for the baby, but for myself. I wrote down every hurt, every doubt, every victory. It became my anchor. Writing reminded me that while others could try to shape my world, my voice, my thoughts were my own. As the months passed, my excitement grew, and so did a creeping sense of dread. The baby shower was supposed to be a celebration, a joyful gathering of friends and family, but I could feel it in my gut. This wasn't just about me. Every text from Evelyn, every suggestion she made about guests or decorations carried a weight I couldn't shake. I began imagining the what ifs. What if she humiliates me in front of everyone? What if she criticizes the food, the decor, or even my dress? I tried to push it aside, to focus on the baby, on Liam, on the happiness I still could grasp. But deep down, I knew the calm before the storm was deceptive. The storm was coming, and I had no idea how it would hit. I woke up that morning with my stomach twisting in a mixture of excitement and dread. The nursery was finally complete. Soft pastel walls, tiny stuffed animals lined neatly on the shelves, a crib that smelled faintly of new wood. I should have felt joy, pure happiness. But the pit in my stomach reminded me this was not just a celebration. It was a test. Every detail mattered. Not for me, but for everyone else. I spent hours getting ready. My hair fell in soft waves around my face, makeup minimal, dress flowing and comfortable. I wanted to look radiant, but not so radiant that it would attract criticism. I wanted elegance, but not perfection, because perfection, I had learned, invites judgment. Liam appeared at the door holding a bouquet of lilies. He smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, "You look beautiful. Today is about you and the baby." I tried to believe him. I tried to believe in joy, but the storm was already on the horizon. Friends and family trickled in, bringing gifts, hugs, and warm smiles. I laughed through small talk, my nerves hidden behind polite gestures. Every compliment from friends felt like a lifeline. Every whisper from a relative felt like a test. And then she arrived, Evelyn. Her presence filled the room before she even spoke. The sharp click of her heels on the floor, the faint perfume that seemed to announce her superiority, the way her eyes scanned the room, silently judging. She hugged Liam with a warmth I'd never seen her extend to me. Then slowly, she turned her gaze toward me. A polite smile curved her lips, but her eyes were cold, calculating. "Darling, you've done a lovely job with the decorations," she said, her voice smooth, deliberate. "But I hope you're ready for all the work ahead." A compliment wrapped in a warning. I swallowed hard and nodded, keeping my smile firmly in place. As the afternoon progressed, small comments began to pierce the calm. "Isn't that color a bit too bright for a nursery? I wouldn't have chosen that style for the invitations. Oh, you gained a bit of weight, haven't you?" I kept my composure, nodding, smiling, laughing nervously. Friends whispered reassurances, but I could feel the weight of judgment pressing down. Every glance from Evelyn felt like a magnifying glass, examining my worth as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter-in-law. Even Liam seemed uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot, whispering, "She doesn't mean anything by it. Just ignore her." But I couldn't. I couldn't ignore the storm building, growing louder with every passing minute. And then it happened. Evelyn raised her glass, calling for everyone's attention. The room quieted, all eyes on her. I felt my heart hammer in my chest. Let's not pretend today is about perfection, she began, her voice smooth but cutting. I just hope the baby looks nothing like the mother. Heaven help it if she's anything like her. A pause. Laughter from some distant corners. Shock from others. I froze. My lips parted, but no sound came. I wanted to disappear, to vanish into thin air. I wanted Liam to protect me, to say something, anything. But he was frozen too, caught between loyalty and love. Tears stung my eyes, hot and unwelcome. My cheeks burned with humiliation. Every memory of trying to please her, every attempt to fit into this family felt meaningless. The room was spinning. I could hear whispers, stifled giggles, the clinking of glasses. I realized in that instant that the person who should have been my greatest supporter, my husband's mother, was my harshest judge. I left the room quietly, clutching my bouquet like a lifeline. I didn't cry, at least not immediately, but my chest ached with a raw, unrelenting grief. Liam followed me, gently taking my hand, whispering, "I'm sorry. She didn't mean it." But I stopped him. "You don't understand. This isn't just her. This is everything. All the small digs, all the judgment. It's all here, waiting for the right moment." I went to the balcony, breathing in the cool air, letting the tears come freely now. The city below carried on, unaware of my heartbreak. The guests inside clinked glasses, laughed, and celebrated, oblivious to the storm that had just passed over me. I realized something in that moment. I couldn't control her. I couldn't control anyone's opinion of me, but I could control my response. I could choose myself. And that realization, small and fragile, was the first seed of strength I would carry forward. I couldn't sleep. The room felt smaller than usual, the walls pressing in as memories replayed over and over. Every laugh, every glance, every cruel comment from the baby shower echoed in my mind like a storm I couldn't escape. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining myself shrinking until I disappeared entirely. I wanted to escape from the judgment, from the humiliation, from the family who seemed to care more about control than love. Liam slept beside me, peaceful and unaware of the depth of my turmoil. I felt a pang of guilt. I wanted to confide in him, to scream my frustrations, but words felt inadequate. No one could understand the weight of a lifetime of subtle criticism until it erupted in public humiliation. The next morning, I called my best friend, Marissa. She listened quietly as I poured out everything: the mockery, the tension, the suffocating sense of inadequacy I had carried for years. "You're not weak," she said softly. "You've been carrying this burden silently for so long. It's time to set it down." Her words, though simple, felt revolutionary. For the first time, I considered that my suffering didn't have to be private, that I didn't have to accept disrespect as a family norm. I began writing in my journal daily, not only recording events, but also my feelings: the hurt, the anger, the moments of courage. Writing became a mirror, reflecting not just pain, but the emerging strength I had ignored for too long. A week later, I gathered my courage and spoke with Liam about the baby shower. I felt humiliated. I felt unseen. I felt invisible, I admitted, my voice trembling. Liam listened, truly listened, for the first time without excuses or defensiveness. He said, I didn't realize how deeply it hurt you. I I was frozen. I thought staying quiet would help. We talked late into the night, unraveling the layers of expectation, guilt, and family loyalty. I realized that confrontation wasn't about blame. It was about clarity, about making my voice heard without apology. In the months after, I began setting small but firm boundaries. I learned to say no when Evelyn offered advice that felt like judgment. I declined visits that felt draining rather than supportive. It wasn't easy. Each boundary felt like a betrayal at first, as though I was rejecting my own family. But slowly, I noticed the subtle changes. I was calmer, more focused on my own happiness, and surprisingly, Liam supported me fully. I began to understand that self-respect isn't selfish. Protecting your emotional space isn't betrayal, it's survival. Looking back, the baby shower was a turning point, not just a moment of humiliation, but a mirror. It showed me what I had tolerated silently, the ways I had sacrificed my peace for the comfort of others. I realized that love and respect are not negotiable, and that the people who truly care will rise to meet you, while others will reveal themselves in the most unexpected, often painful ways. I still feel the sting when I recall that day, but it no longer controls me. I have reclaimed my narrative, my voice, my joy. I have learned that even in the face of judgment and cruelty, the strongest act is to choose yourself. Liam and I grew closer than ever. Those late-night conversations after the shower became our foundation. He understood the importance of validating my feelings and standing by me without hesitation. We discussed parenting, our hopes and fears, and I realized that his love wasn't about his mother's approval, it was about us. That clarity allowed me to feel safe, respected, and cherished, and it was a reminder that my happiness didn't have to be compromised for anyone else. I began speaking up more to family, friends, even strangers. Each small act of assertion reinforced my confidence. When Evelyn made comments, I responded calmly, firmly, and without apology. I learned to express my feelings without fear, knowing that my voice mattered. No longer would I let anyone diminish my joy or my choices. I began to embrace my identity as a mother, a wife, and a woman who refuses to shrink herself for the comfort of others. The birth of my child brought indescribable joy, a love so pure it eclipsed months of pain and tension. Holding my baby in my arms, I understood that no judgment, no criticism, no humiliation could touch the happiness that we had created together. Even Evelyn, over time, softened in small ways. She never became the supportive mother-in-law I had dreamed of, but I no longer needed her validation. I had learned to celebrate milestones for ourselves, not for her approval. Looking back, I realized the baby shower was not the tragedy I once believed it to be. It was a lesson, a mirror reflecting the strength I had ignored for years. I discovered resilience, courage, and self-respect in moments of pain and humiliation. I learned that empowerment comes not from winning others' approval, but from claiming your own worth. I learned that love is strongest when shared with those who see, hear, and respect you, not those who tear you down. And as I cradle my child, I whisper a promise to myself. No one can diminish your light. No one can steal your peace. You are enough, always. For the first time in my life, I feel free.